Hello, and welcome to Step 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to others and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Step 12 may seem like the last step, but it is really a new beginning. As we attend meetings, work the steps, and use the tools of the program, our ability to love ourselves and others grows. Trust, hope, and gratitude replace fear, hopelessness, and the need to blame others. We gain the ability to let go of things outside of our control. We are living in the present. These positive changes are signs of a spiritual awakening taking place within us. Acknowledging and sharing this awakening is the essence of Step 12. While working the steps, we become aware that meetings provide a safe place to share without being judged. It is a place to focus on ourselves rather than obsessing about the addict. We have learned to look within at the areas of our lives we can change, while realizing there are some we cannot. A spiritual awakening is our way of taking responsibility for our lives, rather than trying to control someone else. We listen to others share and become more aware of our common experiences. We can empathize without becoming enmeshed in the affairs of others. Carrying the Step 12 message to others means sharing our experience, strength, and hope. Sharing openly at meetings can benefit others in similar situations. Even our early shares about pent-up frustration, grief, and pain brought on by living with an addict helps newcomers realize they are not alone. Newcomers' stories remind longtime members how grateful they are for having found Nar-Anon. Service is a way to carry the message to others. Volunteering to be secretary or treasurer is one way to contribute to the group. Other ways of doing service include welcoming newcomers, setting up a room, putting things away, offering a ride, carpooling, or managing the phone line. Taking on a responsibility is one way to ensure our regular attendance at meetings. Nar-Anon members can also be involved at the area, region, and world service levels. While we focus on sharing our recovery at meetings, we become connected with the worldwide fellowship through committees, conventions, assemblies, and conferences. This gives us opportunities to hear new stories and find out how other groups function. Connecting with others on committees gives us a chance to apply the principles of our program with other recovering members. When we learn to work together by listening to all points of view, considering all suggestions, and building on similarities rather than differences, we are putting principles above personalities. Being a sponsor is another way to carry the message by sharing our experience, strength, and hope. We get to know another member's story more completely than is possible at meetings. Sponsorship is a commitment in which both sponsor and sponsee benefit. Suggestions for applying Step 12. Step 12 helps us live the principles of our program when we perform service work to give back what we have received, carry the message of recovery, and practice these principles in all our affairs. Spiritual awakening. Many Nar-Anon members think of their spiritual awakening as a gentle and gradual process of self-discovery. Some members experience a spiritual awakening in a moment of enlightenment. Some will experience it as a difficult or lengthy process. However we arrive at our spiritual awakening, it helps to allow ourselves time to change and process what we are learning. As with all the steps, we sometimes feel we take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Even if this happens, we are still moving forward. Positive things are happening in our lives, and we see changes. We reflect on our transition from living in fear to a life centered on faith in a higher power. It is important to acknowledge our positive changes. For many Nar-Anon members, working their 12th step has resulted in a different outlook on life. You may find an awakening is a realization or coming into awareness of something fundamental. We absorb the inner meaning of the 12 steps and devote ourselves to daily practice of its principles. As we release self-will, our spirituality grows. We have confidence the God of our understanding can be trusted. Prayer works, and miracles can happen. A member shares, "I now have the ability to look within for guidance. Trusting my intuition is a spiritual awakening." Question number 1. What does being spiritual mean to me? I think it means wanting, seeking, and building a relationship with a higher power. Number 2. What kind of 12th step work have I done? I spend time noticing the spiritual growth in my life. I continually try to let go of what I cannot control. I try to be aware of how I can share my story to help others. Number 3. What thoughts or feelings come to mind when I think of the word awakening? I think of a realization and awareness that enables me to have serenity and make sense of the chaos and confusion in my life and in the world. It is a recognition of God's love and power. Number 4. How has working the 12 steps led me to a spiritual awakening? I think working the steps has enabled me to have an acceptance that I didn't used to have. I accept reality even if I don't like it. I accept God has a plan for me, even if I don't understand it. Number 5. How has my spiritual life improved as a result of working the steps? I am less angry at God when things are not going well. I don't despair like I used to. I ruminate less on worst-case scenarios. A member shares on spirituality. At a fellowship event, my higher power placed me next to a person passionate about spirituality. We shared personal stories about working the Nar-Anon 12-Step program. I shared my experience, and she explained how her spiritual life has evolved. Our journeys have been different, however, we had much in common on the subject of spirituality. She said the closer she gets to her higher power, the more in sync she feels. I identified with that because the closer I get to the God of my understanding, the more in tune I become with my spirituality. In working the Nar-Anon 12-Step program, my goal is to be in harmony with my higher power. As a result of these steps, when we came into the rooms of Nar-Anon, we were most likely looking for ways to get the addict clean at any cost. We expected a miracle, hoping our lives would get better. Our expectations may have changed as we worked the steps. We began to look at ourselves and others differently, accepting them for who they are and where they are. We see strengths in ourselves and others, concentrating on positive traits rather than negative ones. As we continue in the program, following the lead of our higher power and the example of those who came before us, we see positive changes in our lives. In the beginning, we may have missed the phrase, quote, as a result of these steps, end quote, and just longed for the spiritual awakening. We realize a spiritual awakening comes about as the result of working the steps and using the tools offered by this program. Question number 6. What progress do I see in myself as a result of working these steps? When I am anxious, I am better able to consciously acknowledge it and consciously ask God to help me let it go. I am finding more and more peace in letting go of things I cannot control. Number 7. Working the 12 steps has required effort and soul searching. How has accomplishing this given me more self-confidence? I have more control over my life since I know I can control my choices, attitudes, beliefs, values, and reactions. I can better control my emotions, listen to my feelings, validate them, and make choices that I feel good about. Number 8. How has my understanding of the phrase, working the steps, changed since I started this journey? I understand now how much work it is to read each step and honestly answer the questions. It is a lot of work to challenge long-standing thoughts and behaviors and develop new ones. Number 9. How have I seen my higher power working in my life as I have traveled this 12-step path? God has been with me during this journey. I have felt discouraged and overwhelmed, but God has enabled me to keep going. I have been better able to live life one day at a time and not live in the unknown of the future. Carrying the message. In Step 12, we acknowledge we are only able to carry the message by working all 12 steps and applying them to our daily lives. Working the steps helps us and enables us to help others. Our actions, words, and sharing our experience, strength, and hope convey this message. We do not try to solve other people's problems, but are there to support them as they solve their own. Working with newcomers can be rewarding. We encourage them to be gentle with themselves and work the Nar-Anon program one day at a time. They may need guidance and help to understand that a higher power will strengthen them through the 12 steps and other tools of the program. By working Step 12, we learn that in order to keep what we have gained, we need to give it away, expecting nothing in return. It is in giving that we receive. We give and receive unconditional love, reaching out to those who still suffer. We give of ourselves by doing service within the fellowship. Among the many opportunities for doing service from the group level to the various World Service Committees are performing outreach, volunteering in your group, area, region, or world level, joining a committee, submitting writings for fellowship literature, sponsorship, and sharing experience, strength, and hope. A member shares, at first the thought of Nar-Anon service work scared me. I felt I was exchanging one obsession for another. I came into Nar-Anon overburdened and tangled up in everyone else's lives, while also volunteering for numerous community services. The first time I raised my hand, I was actually rescuing the person who asked for a volunteer. I felt bad for him staring at a room full of people with their arms clamped to their sides. I feel differently now. I finally learned to say no without any ambiguity, and say yes because it is what I want to do. I am committed to Nar-Anon and do service as part of my 12th step. Question number 10. What does it mean to carry the message? I think it means to encourage others to work the steps, to listen to their story, and help others focus on the positive and what they can control in their life. Number 11. What is the message I am trying to carry to others? I want others to know they are not alone, that working the steps in whatever way is most comfortable to them is a worthwhile endeavor. Number 12. What are some of the ways I carry the message of recovery through attraction rather than promotion? I do not like to hard sell anything. If something has merit, it will attract someone based on its own value and not because of my opinion. I like the results to speak for themselves. All I can do is live my life, and if others see something in me that inspires them, I can encourage them to try Nar-Anon. Number 13. Can I remember a situation when I shared the Nar-Anon message? How did it make me feel? I am sharing the Nar-Anon message on this podcast. I have a lot of social anxiety and I'm a very private person, so I feel good about working the steps in this way in hopes it will give me and others the strength to evolve over time. I imagine I will attend meetings in the future, but I am waiting for the right opportunity. A member shares, the saying, keep coming back, is important. The 12 steps are meant to be a life learning process. Before I could carry the message to others, I had to be able to 12-step myself. I stay on track by going to meetings and being there for the newcomer. Working step 12 might be called working the payback step. To give is to receive. Practicing the principles. Step 12 involves taking time to notice and appreciate the spiritual growth in our lives. We work step 12 by sharing the Nar-Anon program with others and continuing to practice the principles, the 12 steps, 12 traditions, and 12 concepts of service in every area of our lives. Principles are the guides we discover by working the steps. When we are discouraged, we tend to slip back into old habits and behaviors, but we never give up. We strive to improve our lives by repeatedly practicing our recovery and the principles of the 12 steps. Many of us attempted recovery and stumbled along the way. In step 12, we learn to give back the love and patience we received. Criticism, judgment, and taking another member's inventory go against the principles of our program. We welcome everyone as we reflect on where we once were. With an attitude of gratitude, we are better able to share our recovery. We develop a desire to share our experience, strength, and hope through service. We practice humility. We accept what 12 Step says. We try to carry this message to others, so by sharing our recovery and letting go of the outcome, we have fewer expectations. Question number 14. What does it mean to practice these principles? I think it means developing new habits for thoughts and actions. It means to make choices instead of having reactions. It means sharing goodness and encouraging others who are suffering with a loved one's addiction. It means a changed attitude in all areas of life. Number 15. How can I practice the principles in my group, area, and region? I can live my life and not anyone else's. I can be responsible for my own thoughts, words, and actions. I can volunteer when I feel called to do so. Number 16. How do the principles of Nar-Anon work in my daily life as well as in meetings? I can always keep the 12 steps in my heart and reflect on my progress. Each day I can choose to surrender to God and accept the things I cannot change. I am not currently attending meetings, but when I do, I can be welcoming and patient. I can be gentle with others as they share their struggles. Number 17. What does it mean to place principles above personalities? I think it means connecting with others by listening, building on similarities, and not focusing on differences. Our stories are all unique, but we have all experienced the pain of a loved one's addiction. I acknowledge that I may not understand everyone, but I understand we all suffer and need compassion and hope. In all our affairs. Step 12 is about service. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to others and to practice these principles in all our affairs. As we work the program, our goal is to live the steps, making them an integral part of our lives. We resolve our problems or concerns by using the steps, talking to our sponsor, or asking for our higher power's support and guidance. The result is peace, serenity, and a new confidence in ourselves. We become less fearful and more accepting of things we cannot change. Practicing the principles in all our affairs is a gradual process, regenerative and never-ending. We become more higher power-centered and learn the true meaning of a higher power's love. In order to continue our recovery, we need to share all we have been given with other friends and families of addicts. To keep it, we have to give it away. We continually meet new challenges and opportunities to work the steps and our program on a daily basis. Question number 18. How does practicing these principles in all my affairs contribute to a better way to live? It strengthens good habits to practice the Nar-Anon principles in all aspects of my life. Trusting in a higher power and accepting what I cannot change helps me let go of fear, especially the fear of uncertainty. Then I am free to live life in the present moment. Number 19. What changes do I see in myself? I see myself detaching from unhealthy habits. I see that I am better able to stop myself from wanting to control others, especially the addict. Number 20. How have these changes affected my life? I know myself better, have more knowledge of my strengths and weaknesses, and I am gentler with myself. I have more acceptance and peace. A Step 12 story. An interesting topic discussed at a recent meeting was, why are we here? There were many different reasons shared by those in attendance. Reasons varied from longtime members who shared how Nar-Anon had changed their lives, to a newcomer who shared she came because someone told her about the program. As with all meetings, different topics bring up different feelings depending on where people are in their recovery process. I thought about the reasons I decided to stay in Nar-Anon for so many years. My son was the reason I first came to this program. I thought about the fact that for 95% of the time I had been coming to Nar-Anon, my son had been in prison. I asked myself, why am I in recovery if he is not? I am here because I have followed the 12 steps in life, and they work. I am here because the 12 steps have changed my life and relationships. I am here because I had the spiritual awakening I had desired since my first meeting. I am here because someone was here for me. Because I am here, I can now say I am grateful for the addict. Without him, I would not be who and where I am today. I am here because I want to give back what this program has given me. I am here because I am practicing Step 12, having had a spiritual awakening. As a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to others and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Reflections on Step 12. Step 12 is the last maintenance step and the final step of the Nar-Anon 12-step program. Our journey of recovery and self-fulfillment does not end with Step 12. Our Nar-Anon journey is just beginning. The spiritual awakening of Step 12 will be ours if we have relied on our higher power's presence, worked the steps, and surrendered control of our will and our lives. We use the principles we have learned as tools to cope with our problems. Our blessings may include increased love, acceptance, honesty, and peace of mind. Life teaches us we constantly face trials and temptations, but with our higher power's help we can transfer them into occasions for growth and comfort to others and ourselves. We have come so far. There have been tears, pain, hurdles, and dilemmas as we have made our way through the steps. However, there have been gifts, too. Each step of the way we received grace and strength from our higher power. We had support from our sponsor, companionship of Nar-Anon friends, and strength from the literature. Our growth does not stop here. We continue to learn each day as we practice these steps. We carry the Nar-Anon 12-step message and practice it in all our affairs. Thank you for listening. Join me next time for an interview with my son. Until then, keep working the steps.